system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the system promoted by Iblis. It is well known that our faith, Islam, promotes a kind of culture in the society, and that culture growth. It continues to grow and evolve. Ayat that I read the last 2 nights, Ibrahim says, good things are like faith, good actions, good beliefs, which are the primary faith in Islam is La ilaha illallah. So that Iman, faith is like a tree, it grows. So there is no stagnation, it's growth in habit, very strong, so elevated and so lofty, they extend all the way into the heavens. Not just this sky, but heavens like Malak, the real world. They go. One who has strong faith, he will find himself city of knowledge, right? And Ali is the door to the city of knowledge. So you can't get to the root of Islam without holding the stem of Islam. You see, the example of the tree is given in the Ahadith, explained in the Ahadith as the root, as the Holy Prophet of Islam, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala. The stem is Imam Ali, and then the branches are the Imams from the family of Holy Prophet, and then the fruits of this tree are the ulum and Ahl Bayt, the ulum, the knowledge, trickles of which we are sharing, we are learning from each other. We are sharing from the treasures of knowledge of Ahlul Bayt. Whatever we can gather, or based on our own capacity, whatever we can understand, we bring it out, and we, on nights like these in Muharram, all over the world, it is the same fruits of knowledge of that tree, Shajar Tayyiba, that we get to taste, right, in our souls, in our hearts. So we should understand how important, how valuable this is. The tree has grown over history. The tree grown to stem, it made its branches, and now it's producing fruits. And you are living in times where you are able to receive some of the fruits. But the real fruits are spiritual, which require a certain status, a certain level of intellect and purification, which we have to attain. So it is not, for example, we should not think, as I said, there's no stagnation. There's no such thing as repeating. Because just like in paradise, there's no repetition. Everything is new in every second. But I mentioned the first night and last night as well, that the pure tree in paradise is Shajar Tuba. It grows in the house of Rasul Akram and Imam Ali. And then it has branches all over paradise. In every house of paradise, there's a branch. So why is there a branch? Because they are receiving, but every second, millions of new favors of Allah, which they have never even imagined before. Like every countless new favors and miracles they are receiving every second in paradise. Paradise is transforming by the second. It doesn't stay the same for a moment. paradise, see, human spirit wants change. Human spirits want improvement. Allah has created the spiritual world, and the higher you go to the different levels of paradise, that it is changing and evolving and improving countless times in ways that even those ways are not comprehensible. We cannot even imagine how miraculously paradise also transforms and develops by every second when it receives all these favors from the household of Prophet Muhammad and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. Please say salawat. So as I mentioned earlier, that this Islam promotes a certain culture, the Ahlul Bayt promote a certain culture in society. So if ask ourselves, okay, what is culture? See, there is this question of what is the difference between human beings and animals. Often you will think that the main difference between human beings and other species is the intellect, right? Although it is true to a large extent, it is true that the difference between human beings and others is the level of intellect we have, which is true. But animals also have some level of understanding, and it is not the kind of aql we have, but they have their own way of this. They communicate with each other. All the fish and animals and birds, they communicate with each other. Quran, you will see often cites examples of, for example, ants talking to ants. And it says, be careful, get inside your home, the army of Suleiman is approaching, they will crush you under their feet. Well, how does the ant communicate this to another ant? Right? Or Allah says, أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى النَّحْلِ, we revealed to the honeybee. Well, Allah speaks to the honeybee. Okay, it's maybe not in the manner that Allah speaks to human beings, but He speaks to animals. So there is, for example, we find that in the attack of Abraha on Makkah, Abraha was the ruler who was mushrik and kafir. He came to destroy Kaaba. The famous incident Quran mentions, those birds came and dropped the pebbles and destroyed the whole army of elephants. Okay, the elephant that was in the lead, that was the name has come Mahmud. He refused to advance to Makkah. He said, I will not be a part of this. I will not go and destroy Kaaba. What makes an elephant choose? So there has some kind of wisdom, some kind of understanding this animal has, this elephant has. Or the Ashab Kahf, they have their dog, they came along, and Quran mentions the dog of Ashab Kahf, right? That he was وَقَلْبُهُ بَاسِطٌ ذِرَائِهِ بِالْوَسِيطِ. Quran says, praising that he was spreading his legs at the entrance of the cave in which those Ashab Kahf were inside, right? So what is the difference between human beings and other animals? Of course, our level of intellect is higher, but whatever degree of intellect animals have, right? They don't make it apparent as we do. There's something deeper than even intellect that human beings have, which others don't have, which is this capacity to manifest those things, to create a culture and civilization, which animals don't seem to create any culture or civilization, that they don't come together, share the experiences or build on them in the way that human beings do. We, for example, create cities, right? We create literature. We create, different forms of beauty in the society, and how people express their things. It is the expression of these things which creates culture. For example, the culture in Islamic countries is different from culture in non-Islamic countries. The way we dress up, the way we speak to each other, right? The way we show respect to each other. And in language, how do we communicate with each other? How we communicate. We talk about things, there are certain things that people in our societies we share. We have a collective approach towards things. In non-Muslim society, you say there's too much emphasis on individualism. What do you think? What do I think? What does he think? What does she think? That's how they talk. But in our culture, we say we, because we are together. We agree that a society as a society agrees, for example, on the risalat of Nabi Akram Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We agree on the sanctity of Quran, for example. If someone is trying to burn the Quran, Muslims all over the world will protest. If they try to burn a Bible, for example, the Western societies, they don't come out this way. If they try to use bad language about the Holy Prophet or use some media to, say something or communicate something or spread something false or bad about Holy Prophet, there's an outrage, there's an uproar. All over the world, Muslims show their disgust, they denounce it. Even many governments and other. Why? Because there is a culture that promotes respect of all respected people around the world. Like we respect those who are respected by other cultures. Maybe we don't hold them in very high esteem, but because other people respect them, we also respect them. For example, their religious leaders, we will not use bad language against their religious leaders. Their value system, or the things they worship sometimes. Quran says, do not use bad language against the idols of the other religion, because they will use the same language against your God, right? That doesn't mean we respect idols. It means that we don't want to hurt the feelings of people without communicating with logic. If you use bad language, it insults and therefore ignites flames of hostility and hatred among people. It doesn't communicate any logic to help them understand if they're wrong, why they're wrong, and why do we believe what we believe in. You see, this is our culture, right? There's so many things in our culture. The respect for our parents, for example. Or like for example, we commit ourselves to respecting our parents all our lives. And to show more gratitude as we grow older. Now the parents may be taking care of us in a lot of ways when we are younger. As we grow older, right, well, the parents have provided what they could. Now they may not be able to provide us anymore, right? But that doesn't change anything. Because actually, when the parents are not able to provide, the obligation is even more. Because now you have to show the gratitude as a human being. What is your intellect telling you? Should you be thankful to your parents for what they have done for you? So this human quality of being thankful is part of the Muslim culture, right? That although the parents probably are not giving you money like they used to, but you are required to show respect and gratitude for what you have received from your parents. Their mere presence should be respected, right? And shown a sense of gratitude toward. Please cite Salawat. Now you see, from the start, there has been a conflict. There has been friction between two systems, two cultures, two civilizations. Iblis, he came out with one set of fake values. And the Khalifatullah, Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, he represented another set of values. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Adam, you are happy here, everything is provided. There's no pain, there's no suffering in the garden that you are in. Right? So there was a higher form of life. The culture over there was more refined, higher, that there was no pain. There was no hardship. There was no scorching heat like nowadays every city in the United States is becoming hot, right? It was not like that. It was beautiful weather. The garden that Adam and Eve were in, it was a beautiful place, right? It was so beautiful that they had never heard anyone lying over there. See how superior that culture was? Now we can't survive without saying 20 lies every day. Over there was no deceit. There was no fake or there was no pretense. There was nothing. All was truth and honesty, and when you said something, you mean it. There was no what they call, chudi qasam. Everything was real. When you say, oh, by God, you really mean by God. No one will use qasam to deceive anyone in that garden that Adam was in. So he couldn't believe when Iblis came and promised him things that he couldn't have given. He made false promises and he lied to Adam alayhi salam. Inni lakuma laminan nasihin. I am your well-wisher. He was lying. Adam did not know this. Lying? How could a person lie? How could a person use the name of Allah to deceive another person? That was unthinkable. So that culture was far better than any culture human beings have seen on this earth. How could anyone manipulate another human? How could someone exploit another person? That was unthinkable. But so the whole thing was that, oh Adam, don't get close to this fruits of this dunya, because this dunya will bring you a lot of hardships. If you end up finding yourself in this dunya, there will be a lot of pain, there will be a lot of deceit, there will be a lot of suffering, right? Which is this dunya, this world. Why? Because in this dunya, so Iblis promised to God that I will lead them astray. I will misguide all of them, except very few. When he said all of them, Allah said, no, some you will not be able to mislead. Those who I have made pure, right? So from the start, Iblis went on this plan. He challenged. He said, what was he trying to say? He was saying, oh God, you are sending Adam as your Khalifa on this earth. So what was he trying to say? He was saying it won't work. In this dunya, it's not about knowledge, piety, honesty, and these traits and qualities that you are trying to promote. In this dunya, there's going to be deceit, power, exploitation, money, right? It's going to be show off. It's going to be fake things that make people, impress people, you know. From the start, Iblis went to work. Very hard. Well, Adam alayhi salam, when he came to this planet Earth, right? He had two sons. What were their names? Habil and Qabil. Okay. Which one was the good guy? Which was the bad guy? Habil was the good guy. Qabil was the bad guy. So Qabil starts with Q, right? The way I remember is Qabil, Q and Q is for Qatil. So he was the murderer. So Qabil was the Qatil, right? Habil was the Maqtul. So it's easy to remember, okay? Please say salawat.
That's how I also remember.
Okay, very good. One more person to share. Okay, with me. So Qabil killed Habil. Why? Alright, he was physically, I guess, stronger because he was the older brother. Qabil was the older brother. So his argument was, I am the older brother. I should be your successor. I am stronger, I have more money, he has more, sheep, bigger cattle of sheep. So he said, I have more resources, I am stronger, right? And I am older. Now, in real sense, do these things really matter? Who's older and who's younger? Who has more sheep or who has less sheep? Who is physically more stronger than the other one? Only physically, I mean. Physical strength is praised in Islam, but not only. That is alone is not a measure of your being better. But he made a big show out of that. So how could Habil be the successor of Adam alayhi salam? So again, he thought that this dunya, from the start, Iblis promoted, okay, if you are a bigger brother, you should be in control. If you have more resources, you deserve to be in control. So, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْيَوْمَ مَنِ اسْتَعْلَى. Fir'aun said, you see, in the time of Musa alayhi salam, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْيَوْمَ مَنِ اسْتَعْلَى. He said, okay, all the magicians come against Musa. Okay, let's see who wins. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْيَوْمَ. Today the winner is the one who is able to dominate, who is to able to defeat the other person. He is the one who reaches falah. Successful is the person who defeats, who is the winner. Winner is successful. Winning material like encounter, one person wins over other, it is, Fir'aun said, this is the measure of being right and wrong. If you defeat the other person, you're right. If you lose, you're wrong. This is how he put it. That أَفْلَحَ الْيَوْمَ مَنِ اسْتَعْلَى. The logic of Quran is completely different. تِلْكَ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةِ. I mentioned this verse. That akhirat is not for the person who is trying to be superior. Of course you should be strong. You should not let the bad people, the people who are deceitful and oppressive, They should not have a free hand on this earth. That is okay. But for example, in one given encounter, if you lose, that doesn't make you wrong, do you? Does it? For example, in the battle of Karbala, Imam Hussain apparently he was killed. Well, does that make him wrong? This is a different discussion. We will cut to that inshallah later on. I mean, Imam Ali during the time of Holy Prophet, he won the battles back to back. In the time of his Khilafat also, he won 3 battles. So, winning, Rasulullah Akram has seen success in wars. Imam Ali has seen multiple successes in wars. Even during his Khilafat, who could come against Ali and survive? Ali's strike, when he has struck the person once, he cut him in 2 pieces straight. No one survived the attack of Imam Ali. If Imam Ali's sword came down, it always cut the person in 2. No one survived his strike. But for example, well, that's another discussion for another time, inshallah, that it was not meant to be a win for Imam Hussain, because by winning Imam Ali or Rasulullah Akram, they had achieved a lot of success. But that did not change the hearts and minds of the people. It did not bring the kind of revolution and the kind of moral awakening that people received, many people, after the uprising and the tragedy of Karbala. It was meant to be like this because it was supposed to awaken the people and create a voice of defiance, a voice of opposition against the oppressors, against the forces that exploit the human society and destroy the culture of a society, a collective identity that Iblis wants to destroy. The human beings cannot agree on anything, as we see today. People say, okay, my individual, I can call myself any person, any gender. What does that mean? Call myself a human or call myself a dog, call myself a cat or call myself something else. But what? But that's what it's coming to right now. You call myself a human or call myself something else. None of the things you can imagine. What's that? What does that mean? But that's the whole idea. To take all these things away from human beings that bring them together. Anything that people can agree on so they can have a collective stand against oppression, against corruption, against the moral decay that continues to happen because of the deceitful work of Iblis and Shayateen all over the world. So, Qabil, he was very proud. He said, okay, whatever the culture was at that time, they give sacrifice. Again, culture, you see, culture. There was something they up till that day they agreed that, okay, give a sacrifice. See who's right and who's wrong, who's more worthy of being the successor of Adam alayhi salam. No, by the way, Habil had a beautiful face. That's just in history. And he had a very good demeanor. Like his akhlaq was very, very good. Like people loved Habil. But to Qabil, this was not important. Not important, right? Well, again, is that how you look is that a measure of being right or wrong? No, it's not. Does color of the skin for them makes you right? If you have one complexion, one color, does that make you a better person? No. So you see, like Habil happened to be, by his face, he happened to be a good-looking person. Okay. So the sacrifice, the fire came down and took the sheep that was offered by Habil. So he brought the best sheep, as they say in history, some account telling us about this. So that means the intention Allah accepted from Habil but not from Qabil. He did not have the purity of niyat, khulus. Khulus means ishq. What is khulus? Ikhlas. It is love and devotion. And love has to be pure. Love cannot be impure. Because love means this person you love is everything for you. So there's always purity in that. It's khulus. So Habil was giving sacrifice out of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Qabil was giving sacrifice for other reasons, trying to show he is superior. All of that. Again, so he killed his brother. Qabil killed Habil. Alright? So people were very sorry, very sad when Habil was killed. I don't know how many people existed at that time. There were a few generations past. People probably have long lives back then, whatever it was. So the community that was that existed at that time, they were mourning the loss and shahadat of Habil alayhi salam. So Iblis used that. Iblis said, okay, you miss Habil very much. Okay, let me create a statue that looks like Habil. Because he was exploiting this thing that, okay, a person is a good-looking person, that can become an idol. And he idolized that. Created an idol that people say, oh, this is just like Habil. So they would come and create and do now for lack of a better word, ziyarat of that statue. Gradually that ziyarat turned into idol worship. They would go and kiss that idol, they would show that, okay, if you are going to Haram of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, kissing a zari, that's not the same thing. Right? Because now we've matured to a level that we know that we are not showing respect to Imam Hussain for material things. We are actually humbling ourselves before the martyrdom and the great values and personality and qualities of Sayyid al-Shuhada Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. Please say salawat. There were the beginnings of idol worship. Again, Iblis capitalized on this. Iblis used any weakness human beings have, that they focus too much on material things, how something looks, the wealth. Oh, it's got same thing in history. Overall, throughout history, this pattern promoted by Iblis has existed to get people to be influenced and be impressed very easily by someone's material things. Oh, he must be right because look at the car he drives. He must be right because look at the profession. He must be right, like his word is taken seriously. Why? Because of the amount of wealth he has or she has. Look at the kind of the area, the neighborhood he or she lives in. He must be right. His word is taken more seriously because of these things, the brand, the names, all these things he carries or she shows off and talks about. People are impressed with these. Everything is taken very seriously. But knowledge by itself, we often ignore. Piety, wisdom, good traits, moral character, lineage, in terms of, spiritual lineage, like how good his parents were, what values, what is this family known for, what kind of culture this family has, right? How many of us even know about that? Take that into account when we show respect to someone, right? This person's knowledge should be how much we are willing to, for example, spend on something that has spiritual value as against something that has worldly value. Some celebrity, we are willing to spend millions, sometimes a singer, sometimes a sportsman, somebody who is famous for something of this material world, we are willing to spend a lot. But we read in history is something else. One of the children of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Imam Hussain had a teacher that was teaching his son Quran. He taught him Suratul Hamd. And Imam's son are all not all Imams. Not all the children of Imams are Masoom. So Imam Hussein's son, a teacher taught him one small surah of Quran. When Imam Hussain found out, he saw his son is able to recite one surah, he gave that person 2,000 dinars, 2,000 gold coins. Dinar is a gold coin at that time, and dirham was the silver coin. So one gold coin was equal to 10 dirhams, 10 silver coins. Imam Hussain gave him 2,000 dirhams. People were very shocked. He said, for teaching one small surah of Quran, you are giving this teacher 2,000 dinars? Imam Hussain said, what he has taught my son is even more precious, more valuable. You see the difference of cultures? What we are respect, how respect we show to spiritual things, which actually do matter. The moment these eyes are closed, we'll see everything. It's just a matter of few years. Everything will become very clear. Everything will become clear. But while we are here, Iblis is trying his best to create those conditions that will basically brainwash all the people. All the people will be impressed by material things. That how many people are willing to sacrifice material things for their spiritual gain. You know? Please cite a salawat. So in the beginnings, that was the thing which Iblis used. And as I mentioned, the divine culture promotes growth. There's always improvement, growth. They want to hold you back, turn you into slaves, mental slaves. And or worse than animals. Animals don't think like us, so they're not expected to act like, anything better. But if we start acting like animals, and no insult meant to animals, but because we have intellect, and if we bring ourselves down to the level of cats and dogs and animals, right? That is a loss. That is a huge loss. And you will see in material societies, people actually live like animals. Their focus is on making ends meet, the standard of living, lifestyle, material lifestyle. And, their belongings, their assets, what they eat, how much they can make, that's all. Even marriages have become the same way. They say, okay, how much collective wealth we are able to. It's like some kind of a commercial enterprise. Obviously, intention is not pure then. It ends up the same way. So in our culture, it's not like that. Human beings in the beginning. So that's why I see Rasulullah Akram said, I am the city of knowledge. Ali is the door to the city of knowledge. Ana madinatul ilm wa aliyun babuha. Salawat. I will recite some very simple quotes from. This is from Imam Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam. He quotes. This is narrated by Abu Hamza Somali from Imam Baqir alayhi salam. Imam Baqir said, our fifth Imam said, Allah revealed to his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said to him, "Fastamsik billadhi uhiya ilayk, innaka ala siratin mustaqim." Hold on to the revelation that we have given to you. You are upon the siratul mustaqim. So Imam alayhi salam, fifth Imam said, "Innaka." What does it mean? Innaka ala siratin mustaqim. You are upon the straight path. He said, "Innaka ala wilayati aliyin alayhi salam. Wa aliyin huwa siratul mustaqim." You are on the straight path. What is the straight path? You are on the path of wilayat of Ali Murtada alayhi salatu wasalam. And Ali is the siratul mustaqim. Well, what does that mean, you are on the siratul mustaqim? Does it mean the Prophet is following the path of Ali? No. Allah said in the Quran, Inni ala siratul mustaqim. Inna Rabbi ala siratul mustaqim. My Lord is on the right path. Does that mean Allah is following the right path? No. You will find Allah on the right path. If you go to the right path, you will reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet is on the path of Ali. What does that mean? That means people who follow the path of Ali will find Rasulullah Akram sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's what it means. That means when you say Rasulullah Akram is on the path of Ali, okay, Sirat al-Mustaqim. If I take Sirat al-Mustaqim, I will end up close to Rasulullah Akram. I cannot be with the Holy Prophet unless I take the path of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. Salawat. Because some people may misunderstand certain riwayats. Okay, Rasulullah Akram is on the path of Ali. No, Ali is on the path of Rasulullah Akram. But if you want to reach the Holy Prophet, you're calling yourself a believer in Islam, Rasulullah Akram, and you're looking to reach the Holy Prophet, to see him on the Day of Judgment, who has given you this guidance, right? Then you must follow the path that he has chosen for you, he has told you about. Ibn Abbas narrates, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, about this verse of Quran. We say that 5 times a day, right? In our prayers, every time we stand up, we say, Ihdina Surat al-Fatiha, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. So Ibn Abbas was a student of tafsir of Imam Ali. He was the first and foremost student of tafsir of Quran from Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was also given the title of Hibrul Ummah, the alim of this ummah. Now some of these things may be exaggerated because they wanted to ignore Imam Ali and bring Abdullah ibn Abbas up. So we are not talking about that. Anyway, he learned a lot from Imam Ali. So about this ayat of Quran, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, he says that it actually means that Ay qulu ma'ashir al-nas, O people, you should say, you should ask Allah, ihdinas sirat al-mustaqim. Show me the right path. What is the right path? Ay ila wilayati Muhammadin wa ahli baytihi alayhimus salatu wassalam. Show me the path of Holy Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Another quote from Abdullah ibn Abbas, he says, ihdinas sirat al-mustaqim means, O Allah, guide me to the wilayat of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. Recite the salawat. So, right path is the path of Ali. If you take that path, which means that people who being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they want to be close to Allah, they must follow the Prophet of Allah. The Prophet of Allah is the Nurul Anwar. Allah created the Noor of Rasulullah Akram from his Noor-e-Azamat. Allah's Noor of his greatness, grandeur. The first creation he created was Noorul Anwar of Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma sallallahu. And if a person wants to reach the Noorul Anwar, the first creation, it is too great for us to reach ourselves. For a Muslim to think, okay, I'm going to seek the shafaat of Rasulullah Akram and Allah will accept my word. No, you cannot use the shafaat of Rasulullah Akram directly. Because Rasulullah Akram said, I am leaving behind two things for you. Inni tarikun fikum mustaqalain. For all times to come. If you claim to be a follower of a Holy Prophet, you must first show that you follow me by following these two things. Quran and Itrat. Itrat means the actual bloodline of Holy Prophet. Through his daughter, Fatima Zahra, and the children of Fatima and Ali, that is the Itrat of Rasulullah Akram. You must follow them. So there are people who ask, people who ask, okay, Maulana, show me where is this written in the Quran? A lot of people ask questions, okay, you believe in this, all the XYZ, whatever these ahkam, these ma'arif, these beliefs, these teachings you are talking about, show me where is that in the Holy Quran. Well, this question is wrong to say where is it written in the Quran. Because if the Holy Prophet had said, I'm leaving behind only one thing for you, you would be saying, okay, show me in the Quran. The Prophet never said, I'm leaving behind one thing for you. He always said, I'm leaving behind two things for you. Inni tarikum because thaqalain. So you should ask, okay, Maulana, please tell me where can I find this truth in the thaqalain? Show me in the true, valuable, two precious things Rasulullah Akram has left amongst us. Where is the proof of this or that? Show me where the explanation is. So if certain things are mentioned in Quran clearly, very good. If they are not clearly mentioned in Quran, then they are mentioned in the Hadith of Rasulullah Akram and Ali Rasul alayhi wasalam. And that is equally good for us. Because first of all, the whole reason why Imams came one after another was so that this Thaqalain would be always available to the people. An Imam can come, he can be killed, another one will come in his place. The time comes when enough treasure of knowledge, enough wisdom, enough guidance, and a system of hidayat has been established on earth through the khulafa of Ahlul Bayt, which are the Maraji and ulama deen, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, okay, if I keep my Khalifa in ghaibat, people will still be able to receive guidance. So that we have in the ahadith that what is the benefit of an imam who is in ghaibat? He says the same benefit that you derive from the sun when it is behind the clouds. The sun, whether you see the sun or you don't see the sun, it doesn't make any difference as far as how your system works. The system continues to work because the sun is there, right? The same way, the system of this world of existence, the whole alam-e-mulk o malakut is running and functioning the way it was and continues to function because of the existence of Waliullah al-Azam, Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam. Allahumma sallallahu. So this is what we are talking about, that this difference is conflict between culture, the culture of Allah, divine culture, right? And the culture and civilization that Iblis and Shayateen want to create. And I discussed one aspect of that, which is focusing too much on how things look, apparent qualities of things, worldly qualities of things. Who possesses more? Who has more labels, more titles, more connection in the society? And obviously, if people value material things more, they will also have the similar kind of connections, right? That's how someone like Imam Hussain will be ignored and isolated. Someone like Imam Ali alayhi salam would have to sit home for 25 years, wait, serve the society in other ways, but be deprived of his rightful place in the society, which is to create justice on earth and to provide guidance to the people and knowledge. Like I mentioned, the main criterion of the successor of Rasulullah Akram was his knowledge. Akhzakum aliyun. Ali is your most knowledgeable and the best judge amongst you. Decisions of Imam Ali, mind-boggling. How a human being could understand, would have this level of wisdom and understanding. Imam Ali alayhi salam, his Dawran al-Khilafah, his period of his Khilafat, is a shining example for all times to come. How he, well, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he became the Khalifa because people were fed up with those previous three Khalifas who came. They basically used the name of Khilafat to oppress the people. Imam Ali wanted to turn things around. He refused to follow their ways. He said, I will follow my judgment based on Quran and the Sunnah of my Prophet, which I hold in my heart. Inna hahuna la ilman jamma. There's an ocean of knowledge inside this chest. But I don't find people capable of receiving this knowledge from me. That was the sorrow, the grief of Ali alayhi salam. And then the day came when people, Iblis had made a wild guess. He didn't know the future. Iblis did not know that I'm going to misguide so many people. I'm going to send so many people to hell. Did he have knowledge of future? No, he did not. No one can say that Iblis knew how things will work out in future. No, he had no clue. He was just making a guess. But all these people who were wicked, who were evil, who wanted to follow their nafs ammara, who wanted to follow their base desires, and they wanted the same kind of culture of Iblis, they made the promise or the claim of Iblis come true in many cases. So our Imams gave the sacrifice because they wanted to uphold those values. It's not the apparent power or worldly fame, it's not the number of soldiers in your army, it's not that. It is your claim, it is the rightful, it is what your word, what you, kalimatun tayyibatun ka shajaratin tayyiba. It's the culture introduced by Imam Hussain alayhi salam, right? The culture that Imam Hussain alayhi salam introduced in Ashura, the love he shows to his family. You see, I mean, in the middle of that crisis, his daughter, 4-year-old, comes running outside the camp when her father is trying to leave for the battlefield. And Imam Hussain alayhi salam looks at his daughter, cannot hold his tears, he comes down from the horse. When the women are crying, Imam Hussain alayhi salam goes inside to comfort them. Everyone who is killed, Imam Hussain alayhi salam is next to that person. His black slave who Imam Hussain had freed, and he asked him to leave, he did not leave. He died for Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain alayhi salam came next to his body and picked him up and prayed for him that his face started glowing. This is the culture of Ashura, this is the culture of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, which refuses to submit and make compromises with the culture of Iblis. It is the culture of Mazlumeen against the Zalimeen. It is a culture in which the people who are oppressed rise up against those who are oppressing them. They want to turn them into, people who can't think for themselves. But the followers of Imam Hussain alayhi salam are like Habib ibn Mazahir. A person at that age, also down to the age of Ali al-Asghar, when people become oblivious, people do not act on their responsibility towards Allah and His Prophet and His awliya, the result is that there are few people in the society who have to carry a lot of burden for everyone. when the ulama of that time, when the rich people of that time, when all these prominent people who said the kalima of Tawheed and prayed 5 times a day, they are not willing to stand up against Yazid, someone like Ali al-Asghar will have to carry the burden of Islam on his shoulders. Sakina and Ruqayya have to carry that burden on her weak shoulders. How much could Ali Asghar do for Imam Hussain? A Qasim who is 13-year-old has to carry that responsibility. With his, after 3 days of being thirsty, Qasim has to go out and fight. Is this fair to the Holy Prophet of Islam that people will abandon the household of Rasulullah, who were the primary means of guidance in this dunya and the source of shafaat and akhirat, that people abandon them and let this family be killed like this, brutally killed, and deprived of water, and to be caused so much fear in their hearts. All these armies are coming, they are causing such fear in the hearts of Ahlul Bayt. Their children are listening to these sounds of these armies marching in front of their camps, calling them all kinds of things, threatening them. And Imam Hussain, how he felt when he said, this is the place in Karbala, we will set up our tents. This is where our women will be taken prisoners. Can you imagine how Abbas ibn Ali would be feeling in his heart when Imam Hussain said, my daughters, my wives, my women will be taken prisoners from this land? How these mothers like Rubab would be feeling, and how they will be holding their babies close to their chest when they heard Imam Hussain said, this is where my children will be slaughtered. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر. Oh Allah, بحق محمد وآل Muhammad, accept our humble ibadat on these nights. Oh Allah, purify our hearts, bring us close to Rasul Akram as Ahlul Bayt. Oh Allah, give us the true love and devotion to Imam Ali and Ahlul Bayt. Count us among the Azadaran of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Count us among the pilgrims and visitors of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Give us tawfiq of ziyarat of Imam Hussain in this dunya and shafa'at of Imam Hussain in akhirah. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.